You know the feeling, right? If you create content online, you know the frustration. You pour hours, maybe even days, into what you think is the perfect article, only to watch it get buried on page 3 of Google. It just feels like a total guessing game. But what if it didn't have to be? What if you could just stop guessing? What if Google itself could basically hand you a blueprint for exactly what to write next to climb the ranks? Well, it turns out it can, and the key is kind of hiding in plain sight, in a free tool you probably already use. Let's unlock it. All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to walk through a completely new SEO playbook. First, we'll stop guessing and start listening. Then we'll see our brand's real performance. We'll find our next winning topics, build authorities strategically, and then learn a super powerful method to test our ideas before we invest all that time and energy. Okay, first up, it's time to stop guessing. We are going to dive in and unlock the secrets that are hidden deep inside your Google Search Console, or as you probably know it, GSC. You know, so many of us pay for these expensive, complicated SEO tools, but the truth is, the most valuable data, the absolute best stuff, is totally free. It's sitting right there in your own GSC, coming straight from the source. You just have to know how to read the tea leaves. So, let's start with a really common problem, trying to understand your own brand's traffic. And this leads us right to this weird little issue called withheld data. Let me show you a real-world example. Over a 3-month period, this website got about 2,900 total clicks from Google search. Simple enough, right? A pretty straightforward number. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If we use a standard filter to see how many of those clicks came from people searching specifically for the brand name, GSC tells us 64. Just 64. Okay, that seems kind of low, but hey, that's what the data says. And then if we flip that filter around to see all the non-branded clicks, we get 1,270. Now, wait a second. Let me do the math here. 64 plus 1,270, that is not 2,900. It's not even close. So, this is the million-dollar question. Where did the other 1,600 clicks just vanish to? They're gone. This is the whole mystery of withheld data. And here's the answer. It's actually pretty brilliant. To protect user privacy, Google literally hides any search query that has a super low search volume. We're talking those really long, specific phrases that maybe only 1 or 2 people in the world would ever type in. But get this, that can add up to a massive chunk of your data, sometimes as much as 40 to 50%. That's why those simple filters we use can be so misleading. Okay, so now that we get what's happening, let's find our next big content idea. And we're going to use this little thing called rejects to find some serious low-hanging fruit. This is so cool and so actionable. In your GSC, you just create a new query filter, pick custom regex, and then you paste in this simple pattern of question words, what, how, why, and so on. Then, and this is key, you filter the results to only show positions greater than 12. So basically, stuff you're ranking for on page 2 or deeper. And what you get back is, well, it's pure gold. These are the exact questions that real people are asking, that your site is this close to ranking for. Google already sees you as relevant for these topics. You're just not quite on page 1 yet. These aren't guesses anymore. These are topics Google is literally telling you to write about. So finding individual topics is great, but what if you want to break into a whole new area? You need a plan. This is your blueprint for building authority, even from scratch. Okay, let's imagine your site is an absolute expert in SEO, search engine optimization, but you want to start ranking for this new thing, GEO, or generative engine optimization. The strategy has 2 parts. First, you leverage the authority you already have by creating bridge content, like an article on what is GEO in SEO. At the very same time, you start building a brand new content hub that's just for GEO. This is how you plant your flag in new territory. So here's how the magic actually happens. In that bridge article you wrote, you find the word GEO, and you link it to your new purely GEO-focused article. Google sees that super relevant internal link and basically passes authority from your established SEO content over to your new GEO content. It's a fantastic way to get a foothold without starting from absolute zero. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most powerful technique of all, test, then invest. This is the growth hacker's secret to completely de-risking the entire content creation process. We've all been there. You know the problem. Creating a really high-quality, amazing piece of content takes a ton of time, a ton of resources. It's a high-risk bet because after all that work, it might not even rank at all. It's a huge gamble. The solution is to flip the entire model on its head. Instead of one big bet, you're going to make dozens of tiny little ones. You find 30 or 40 of those long-tail keywords you're already getting impressions for. Then you use AI to quickly create short, like 150-word answer pages for every single one. Publish them all in one afternoon. And then you just wait. Google will do the work and start ranking the winners on page one. Then, and only then, do you invest your time making those proven pages even better. I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. It's like going to the casino, but first, you get to watch the security footage from the future to see exactly which numbers are going to hit on the roulette wheel. Then you go back in time and put all your money on those known winners. You've completely taken the guesswork out of the equation. It's amazing. And really, this chart just says it all. The traditional method is always high risk for a totally uncertain reward. But this growth hacker method, it's incredibly low risk because you're only investing your effort after you already know the reward is there for the taking. So, there you have it. This is your new SEO playbook. When you use these techniques, you stop being just a content creator who's guessing what might work. You become a strategic architect, actually engineering your own success. Look, the key takeaway from all of this is pretty simple. Stop trying to guess what the algorithm wants. Start listening. Use the free data that Google is already giving you in Search Console to focus your efforts where they'll actually make a difference. So, I guess I'll just leave you with this one question. After hearing all this, are you going to keep just creating content and kind of hoping for the best? Or are you ready to start engineering your success?